Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, bringing you another unboxing video. This time, we're going to take a look at the Razorwing Griffon Light Warbeast from the Circle Orboros faction of the Hordes game from Privateer Press. That's a lot of from. Oh well, we're going to take a look at what's in here, but before that, we got to read the fluff, which is very important. This miniature doesn't come out till September 18th is the street date, I believe, if I recall correctly. So you can go to your local gaming store and pre-order this, or you can go online, unless of course it's already September 18th, in which case you can just buy it, which you should if you've got a Circle Orboros army, because you need to collect everything. You got to collect them all. On the back it says, Razorwing Griffons plunge into battle with the piercing shrieks of birds of prey. Like, something like that. Diving brutally into enemy formations. It's kind of cool if it actually had a rule that disrupted a formation, that while it's within like a certain number of inches of a formation, that they lose like, I don't know, combined abilities, can't combine melee or combine range, or their leadership gets, I don't know, whatever. Flying just a few feet above the ground, they move like threshers across crops of wheat. Ooh, threshers. The Griffins use their sharp-edged blades to slash through ranks of infantry, leaving a bloody trail of the dead and dying to mark their passage. So my guess is, I actually don't know what the stats of this guy are. I haven't looked it up or anything because I don't want to. I want to open it up and genuinely be able to read and figure out what it all does. My guess is that this guy has the ability to fly, just putting that out there, and that he's mainly a close combat guy, and that he has, well, looking at his little claw thingies, I don't know, not armor piercing, because that wouldn't be good against light infantry. I don't know, we'll just have to open and find out. Definitely not reach though, although you can't ever really tell that by looking at the model. So let's take a look inside the box. So, quite simply, we've got our card and we've got our model. The box, on the other hand, we don't need. If we open up the model, now this is just going to be a pretty straightforward kit. It's going to be a few pieces, so there's not going to be a lot to show here. We've got our base, and then we've got all our pieces right here. So we got some cool wings, and then it's going to slap onto the back right there, and then we got our head, and I'm not going to be able to put all this together and hold it. And we got these massive claw thingies that go over top of these little hand thingies. So there is your guy. Well, he's not really, I guess he could be a guy. Could be a girl too, for all I know. But more importantly, let's take a look at the stats that come with this guy. So, the Razorwing Griffon, as we already said, is a light warbeast for the Circle army. He has 3 Fury and a threshold of 8. And he has about the same number of boxes that you would expect to see from a light warbeast. And we go through here, he's speed 6, which is nice, so he's not slow. Rat of 1. So I'm guessing, yeah, there's no ranged weapons anyways, so the rat really doesn't matter. Got mat of 6, strength of 8, defense 14, armor 15. So he's not going to be really hard to hit and hurt, although 14 is a pretty good defense. Oh, I think I see what the claw things are for. No, that's still the open fist things. We've got 3 weapons here. We've got claw blades, and wing blades. And the claw blades are open fists, and they're power 12. Actually, everything is power 12. So it's nice that it has 3 initials, because that just gives it lots of attacks without having to be forced. And they're open fists on top of that, which means he can perform things such as throws and headlocks and weapon locks. You know, I don't actually see a lot of weapon locks and headlocks done in games, but it'd be interesting to see those used more. But I guess, you know, depends on how effective they really are. And so what's really going to be important though is let's take a look at its special rules, which as we can see it has a few. Of course it has its animus, and the animus is amok. And that reminds me of Bewitched. So if you know the reference from that movie, go ahead and post it in the comments below. It is not an upkeep nor an offensive spell. It's cost 1, range 6. When target friendly Warbeast makes a special attack, its attack rolls are boosted. Amok lasts for 1 turn. So basically, for forcing it for 1 Fury, you get to make something else have boosted attacks, which is nice, because especially if it's on something like this that has 3 initials, it's going to be like forcing it 3 times for the cost of 1. And as expected, it has flight, so it's able just to move across terrain and obstacles and other models without any penalties. And yeah, pretty much straightforward like that. This model ignores intervening models when declaring its charge target, so it's always a little bit above the ground, going whoosh, whoosh. That's what they do. Now, Blade Rush, this is probably something that goes with the fluff that we read. Well, making a trample power attack. This model ignores free strikes and does not stop when it contacts a model with a medium or larger base. Wow. An obstacle or an obstruction. So it's literally flying over them and not instead going through them like a normal trample. This model makes trample attacks against models regardless of their base size. That's pretty cool. Now the POW 12 is not going to be that super effective against the larger models because they're going to have a very high armor unless you do some sort of combo with some sort of spell or another animus. But that'll be very deadly against casters because if you think about it, the combination of flight ignoring models and Blade Rush, you can basically choose to trample, and of course, having a speed of 6 to start, your trample is going to be 9 inches, and so it'll be hard for a caster to protect itself, because a lot of times the caster can protect itself just by making sure that there's obstructions in the way or models in the way. Well, this is going to ignore all of that. So I can see it being used for assassinations, or just to, as you know, run amok amongst. You know, you cast a muck on itself and Blade Rush through, and all of a sudden it's killing a ton of infantry, just like I said. So the way that it gets its fluff through of being able to kill lots of infantry, I believe will be mainly through this Blade Rush. And then it has a power attack trample. This model can make trample power attacks, which I guess makes sense considering it has Blade Rush. So then we look at the wing blades, and they have a special rule, threshing blades. And it says this model can add this weapon's POW to its trample power attack damage rolls. So that's pretty cool, because normally in a trample power attack, you just use your strength, which would only be 8. So even against infantry, you know, 8 would be all right. But a lot of infantry out there are going to be high enough armor that that won't be that good. But if he gets to add his POW, it's essentially that he gets to make a wing blades power attack, or a special attack, against every single thing that he tramples over. So that's POW 12 all of a sudden. So I guess it's that combo right there. He's allowed to do trample power attacks. He's got his Blade Rush, so he can use his flight to basically do them as well. And he gets to go over obstacles and larger base models. And he gets to do it at POW 12. And heck, throw on a muck before he does it, and every single attack will be boosted for the attack, or not the damage, but the actual attack roll. So that's an obvious use for the Razorwing Griffon. He is unlimited, but does come in at a points cost of 5. So he is not a cheap light warjack. And that's coming from a Khador player who has a 7-point jack that's a heavy jack that can do a lot of damage. And mind you, doesn't have all these cool special abilities. But still, 5 is not super cheap. But it'd be kind of cool to try out having a couple of these guys, especially if you know you're going up a list that has a lot of infantry. So there you have it. That is the Razorwing Griffon coming to stores near you, hopefully, unless you don't have a local gaming store that sells privateer press stuff near you, in which case you can go online. Stay tuned for more unboxings, and happy wargaming.